and this is by hook or by needles, and this is part 2, and hopefully the final part. It won't be the final part, but part 2, yeah, depends, of Entrelac knitting. Now, this is where we left off, as you know. Just gonna get that blanket out the way, and we are going to be picking up our stitches. You can see, I hope, where we're going to go into these bumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You say that's only 7 bumps, Sam. We need 8 stitches. That's why I usually pick up this one, either the back leg or the front leg over here. Depends how my mood takes me. Usually the back one. Yeah, so now it's easy to see them when you sort of turn it like this, but it's not always easy to see them when you actually start doing it. And I realize that, but if you sort of, when you hold your work, if you hold it and turn it up, sometimes it helps them sort of to sit more proud and you can see them a lot easier. You can do that to help. If that still doesn't help and you're still a little bit confused, then get a stitch marker and put a little stitch marker in each one if you have to. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you miss. Like, you know, so my first one I'm going to put into the back loop. There. Okay, so that's 1. Now, all the rest will be going into the loops, into the bumps. If you want to go into this, the gaps between the bumps, because that's easier, do that. You know, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a bit odd, but, you know, it'll still work. As long as you're consistent with what you do, it doesn't matter where, well, within reason, where you stick the needle. You know, as long as you're consistent, the whole piece of work will be consistent. So don't stress too much and don't stress if you miss one bump and you accidentally go into like this bump and then the next one you go into the gap. It doesn't really matter in the large aesthetic scheme of things. We make mistakes. I mean, I keep all my mistakes in my videos because I don't edit other than to join, you know, one section to another. You know, sometimes in some of my videos I might say, okay, I'll meet you at the end. You know, if it's a long piece of work, I say I'll meet you at the end. You know, and I'll just say just do the repeats. You know, but I don't, like if I make a mistake and, you know, very often you might see me, oh, no, I've split the yarn, or, oh, I've gone into the wrong section, or no, I'm supposed to have done that. And I'll just unravel it and just redo it. I think it's good to keep errors like that in because it shows you that errors can and will be made, and it also will show you, hopefully, how easy it is just to undo it and redo it. So, anyway, I digress. Have I picked up one stitch? Yes, I have picked up one stitch. So this is my second stitch. Now, another way to help, I showed in another video, but I'll do it again in this one, in the last video, is if you're having trouble finding or picking up your bumps, here's the bump I'm going into, and I grab my yarn, which is now tangled around my lead, and I just get it around my hook, pull it up, and then I put that on the needle. Whoops. Yep, there we go. Okay, so if you find, you know, if you're a crocheter trying to knit and you're finding it really hard to stick that needle in and pick it up and to knit, just do that instead. And that is effectively picking up a stitch and knitting it and putting it on the loop, on a needle, sorry. But, you know, that's another way you can do it. So you've got stitch markers that'll help you. You've got, you know, using a hook. Another way that you could do this is just looking for a thin needle. Here we go. This is a thin DPN. This is a thin DPN that I've got. DPN just means double pointed needle. And what you can do if as well is, because it's double pointed, I can come at it from the right side. I know I need to pick up that loop. I can see the loops nice and easily because there's no knitting in the way. That loop, that loop. Oops, that one wants to struggle with me, that loop. And that's 4 more. So I've done, how many have I done? 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've missed one. Okay, where's one? See, now I've missed one. What did I tell you about making mistakes? Hang on. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, see, now where have I missed one? Right, so undo it. Let it drop. 2, 4, 6. Oh, I was not counting my stitches properly. See, and this is why I suggest also putting a stitch marker between the last 8 stitches and the next 8, because that way you know where you stand. All right, so I have done one. All right, so let's do it this way. We get a double pointed needle. I've got to pick up 7 more along the bumps. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 stitches. They're the ones I've got to knit. So, because it's double pointed, I can just slide them to the end, and I can just go into them and pick them up. And that is just so much easier. And it's easier to see where the bumps are because there's no stitching in the way. And it's just so much smoother. It's just so much smoother to work those edges. So there's another little quick tip on how to pick up stitches when you need to. So 2, 4, 6, 8. I've got my 8. Then we go back to knitting in reverse. Knitting in reverse, we've got our front leg and our back leg. So we go through our back leg from front to back, over and down, and then I clasp with that finger down on that yarn. However you do it, whatever's comfortable for you, you do it your way. This is just the way I do it. I'm holding that yarn so it doesn't slip or slide or overextend as I'm working that stitch. Then I pick it up, and I've done my first reverse purl stitch. Into the next stitch, front to back, over and down, slide it off. Front to back, over and down, slide it off. And so on and so forth. And we do that all the way back to the end. And that's our 8 stitches. Okay, I know I've done 8 because I've reached my stitch marker. I like to keep it there because I used to often pick up the next stitch from the previous group of 8, and that's how I used to make errors. Okay, now we're knitting down. We're going to knit 7, because if you remember from the end of last week, the last 2 stitches need to be joined so that I can join this rectangle to the final end triangle, or maybe next rectangle, depending on how wide your work is. So we slip, and that twists the stitch, so it puts the back loop to the front. That is why we do it. Okay, and then we put this needle through the front 2 loops, and we just knit those 2 together through the back loops. Do not knit 2 together, like through the back loops, the next 2 stitches together. It does not give you the same look at the front. We tried that here, and we ended up with a little bump. See, that's where we actually just knitted through the back 2 loops, and it's different to all the rest. You want to get nice clean V's up the front. Okay. Oh, I hate it when I get my yarn around the cord and I can't do anything about it. Well, I can, but I'm not going to play with a big ball of yarn like this, trying to get it through a small hoop. Anyway, I ramble. Back we go. Knitting in reverse. Oh dear. Okay, I didn't hold on to my yarn tight enough. There we go. 1, 2. Let me know if I'm too close or too far from the screen. I do get a bit confused. My viewfinder says I'm just a good distance away, but sometimes when I look at the video back, it shows me as being too close or too far. I don't want to be too far away because I want you to be able to see exactly where I'm putting my needles and all the rest of it, but I don't want to be so close that I'm also poking you in the eye with a needle, because that's not useful either. And then we knit down 7. Slip, slip. Oops, pick up the 2. It's a bit splitty, this yarn, just because of the needles I'm using. It's not normally a splitter yarn. I want to specify that. So it's not the yarn's fault, it's what I'm using to work with's fault. And then knit through the back loops. And it's not always, even with the metal needles, it's not always so bad. Oh, my computer's telling me it's got an update. Okay, well, restart now. I can handle a restart. My cousin, which just reminds me, I just looked at the screen, knitting backwards, purling backwards. My cousin in the UK, I think they call themselves twitchers. Are they bird watchers? Twitchers? Anyway, he's a bird watcher, and he takes some fabulous photographs, and he's actually been in some magazines. It's just some of the shots he takes are absolutely wonderful. Anyway, he's recently been had his photos plopped into another article in another birdwatcher magazine, or actually I think this one was a news report, because it was a bird he found and photographed along with other twitchers, because they tend to go in groups, twitchers. I wonder what a group of bird watchers is called. A twitching? A twitchering? Something like that, I would imagine. Anyway, and they found this Asian bird that has never ever been seen in the UK, East Coast before, or in the UK at all. And so, yeah, it actually made the news, and I had the article open because I was going to show my mum and dad. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty exciting. He is a wonderful photographer, and he really enjoys it, you know. And it's great to have a hobby you can enjoy as much as he does. And his photography, and we do, and knitting and crochet. 2, 4, 6, 7. 1 left. So slip, slip, knit 2 together, and through the back loops after we've twisted them. Yep. Purl 1 in reverse, purl 2. So how are you finding this experience? Those who are, whoops, got to do that one again. Firstly, to those who are beginner, medium, even experienced knitters. I doubt experienced knitters would need to watch this, but anyway. If you're a knitter, let's put it that way. If you're a knitter and you're watching, am I doing a good job, reasonable job, okay job, poor job of showing how to do Entrelac? If you were doing it, would you do it differently? How would you do it differently? Please let me know. I'm eager to learn. Similarly, if you are a crocheter who has never picked up some needles and is just, been frantically trying to keep up. I know I did with the cast on. I didn't show the cast on very well. But apart from that, how are you finding, you know, is it close enough? You know, am I showing the stitches well enough? Can you see what I'm actually doing and how I'm achieving what I'm achieving? Yeah, it's just good to get some feedback every now and then. And of course, if you like the video, please just like it. Now, I was going to save this for, today is Friday. It's almost 8 a.m. And I was going to save this for next week's Thursday knit stitches. But I don't know. I might, you know, there's 2 parts, and I was going to save it for the next 2 Thursdays. But I think what I might do is release all the parts, whether there's 2 or 3, in one go, so that you're not sort of mid-project. And in fact, after the next row that I will show you, it really is a matter of just repeating this row and the next row over and over. So I think after the next row, I will take a break, finish the project, and come back, because all you will need to do, I wasn't going to do that, I was literally going to go with you stitch by stitch, but I don't think I'm going to need to, because I've done stitch by stitch for each of these next 2 rows, and so you just need to go back and do the same thing in the same colors. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully that'll be enough. I'm hoping. If it's not enough, if you would prefer me to, you know, show the whole process, let me know. Just talk to me, somebody. I'm so lonely. No, only kidding. I'm not that lonely. I love being alone, actually. I know people hate being alone, but I think there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. You know, there's a big difference. You know, yes, I live alone with my 2 cats. I'm a crazy crocheting, knitting cat lady. But I'm not lonely. I have my friends on Facebook and Messenger from the UK and wherever. And I have all of my YouTube family that I've had since I've started watching YouTube and being, you know, subscribed to channels and whatnot. So I've got lots of people there that I, you know, feel very close to, and have gotten closer to a number of them over time. So it's hard, even though I'm alone, I'm not lonely, and it's I think it's hard for some people to understand that. My mother's like, I don't know how you can do it living alone. You should come and live with us. And I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be fun, Mum. I think I'd kill my mother no, I wouldn't kill her. But it wouldn't go well. It really wouldn't. I love my mother, but we don't get along as well as we used to. Okay. And that's just, you know, people change. And I love being alone. I really do. I enjoy the quiet. I enjoy just, you know, making noise in my house at 2 a.m. if I'm awake at 2 a.m. I don't have to worry about waking up everyone else in the house. You know, I can go to sleep at 2 p.m. if I want to. And, you know, no one's going to wake... Well, no, that's a lie. Someone is going to wake me. I think my dad has an inbuilt radar that every time I go lay down to go to sleep, if it's during the day, he will pop around. It's hilarious. And I say to him, have you got a light that goes off in your house that says, she's laying down, she's laying down? Because he does. He comes around every time I'm about to go off to sleep. But yeah. I've forgotten where I was. But anyway. But it's nice to just be able to do as you please. You know, it really is. Do as you please when you please. In fact, like yesterday, today's Friday, like I say, 8 a.m. And yesterday, at about 2 p.m., I was absolutely exhausted. And so I went, slip, slip. So I laid down to go to sleep, and I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, so I've been awake for 3 hours. So I slept from yesterday afternoon, 2 p.m., till 5 a.m. this morning. I obviously needed the sleep, and that's what happens. I just tend to go in waves like that, where I'll be awake all night and all day, and then I'll sleep for almost, 20, actually it's about 15 hours. So, yeah, that's just the way my body works. And I couldn't do that if I lived in a house with other people, because they would constantly be waking me with noises while I was sleeping. It's bad enough with the cats when they wake me. When they were kittens, they were terrible. They used to hit me in the head. They used to literally biff me in the head with their paws and run away, because they were just kittens and they were playing all night. So I had to train them that when Mummy's sleeping, we leave her alone, because, it's like waking a hibernated bear. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't wake a hibernating bear. So don't wake me. Okay, here we come. This is our last time coming down, and we will turn our work, and I'll show you why we're going to turn our work for the next bit. So we knit, knit. Oh dear. Pick up those last 2 stitches, and there. Okay, so we're not going to turn our work just yet, because we've got to pick up our 8 stitches, and let's see if we can find them. 1, whoops, get in screen, Sam. 1, 2, 3. Hang on, let's try that again. 1. Sorry, I'm trying to get the whole thing in. Yep, that's better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, why haven't I got 7? Why do I not have 7? Oh, here we go. The 7th one is down here. That's because the cast on, as I mentioned before, the cast on, you're probably better off casting on with either going up a needle size or holding your 2 needles together and casting on that way, because as you can see, the work sort of curls around because the cast on is a little tight. So the 7th one is around there. So there's 7. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then this will be 8th. Once we pick them up, we're going to be doing this, so it's sort of like a half rectangle. Okay, we're doing it, but it's going to be mirrored, flipped, and going here. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to pick the first one up in the front leg. What am I doing? So sometimes I revert to knitting, crocheting yarn hold. So that's 1. I've got to pull my stitches up, sorry. There's the first bump. Now this is where, it's a little bit harder because, I don't know why. I think it's probably because it's on the end, and they tend to be a little bit tighter, the stitches on the end. So, just be wary of that. This is definitely where you may need to use your thinner needle, your double pointed needle, or your hook, or both. You might want to use, whatever's easiest for you. And it doesn't matter, if it takes you, 3, 4, 5, 10 times as long as it takes me, because I can't even find the next bump at the moment. See, even I can't find the next bump. Is that the next bump? And like I say, if you get the wrong next bump, it doesn't matter, because No, that's not that. I can tell because I'm pulling up the wrong one. Right, I'm going to pull out that just to see when the next bump is down here. Okay. And I don't know why pulling out a stitch sometimes helps me find the bumps. It just does. There's the next one. Oops. Split the yarn with a needle. Once again, not the yarn fault. It's my use of needles. Okay, we got, and I forgot to put my marker in again. 2, 4, 6, 7, and an 8th one to be down here on that will do. Okay. No, it won't do because I want to be right in that corner if I can be right in that corner. So I think I'll use that little bump there. And then I'm sort of right in that corner. Yep, okay. So I've got my 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Where'd my stitch? My stitch marker's over there still. Okay, take it out. 2, 4, 6, 8. Pop it in there. In there. Now that I've done that, pick up and knit 8 stitches along the edge. And now, normally I would say to you, okay, we're going to work backwards. We're going to purl backwards. And we could do it backwards, but the next stage is going to be, the next thing we have to do is we have to purl 2 together. And we can do that, purl 2 together backwards. But I think, personally, if we turn our work, let me get rid of this tangle of yarn I got around my cord. If we turn our work, we will find that it's easier to purl 2 together working this way. Okay, so the next part is, because you want a straight edge, so that's why we're purling 2 together here, whereas along here we had to knit front and back along up here. On this end we're purling 2 together. Okay, so we're going to purl 2 together and then purl to the end. Now we're not going to turn our work when we get to the end of these stitches, because all we need to do is knit backwards. And we know how to knit backwards because we did it before. I can take that out now. And knitting backwards is, we have got, once again, front leg, back leg. Always go in the back leg. When you are knitting or purling in reverse, backwards, whatever you want to call it, we always go in that back loop. With purling in reverse, we go front to back. Knitting in reverse, we go from back to front. So we go front to back to front, sorry. And with our yarn over, it comes in, whereas purling, we go over and down. With knitting, we go up, over and down. Now you'll remember that from the first row we did when we did our purple stitches. So we're going to knit backwards. Once again, like I say, this is just purely to avoid having to turn your work every, maximum 8 stitches and minimum 2 stitches. And it just, I think, saves a lot of work. Okay. And there we are. This bit will go very quickly because we are actually decreasing every row. So we purl 2 stitches together, and I think we go down to 2 stitches and then we change colors. And the next row is probably the easiest of rows because there will be none of this decreasing or increasing. Oh, see now, hang on. Is that my gap? See, I should have left my marker in. 2, 4, 6. Nope, that's that one. See how easy it is? 2, 4, 6. See, it is that easy to just pick up the next stitch. You know, from the next group of 8, which you don't want to do. So, knitting backwards. You just go down. And I can't see how long this video's gone on for. Oh dear, I'm having a bit of trouble today. Sorry, just having issues with things that I don't need to discuss. But anyway, yeah. So, and I love this yarn. I really do love this yarn. It is just so soft. It is so wearable worthy. That's what I like to call it, wearable worthy. Then we purl 2, purl 2 together and back. Don't you like my new table? Did I mention my new, I think I mentioned my new table in one of the edits of this that got deleted. It's a new table and it doesn't squeak, listen. No squeaking. And it's really cool. It's like one of those hospital bed ones. So there's only like one leg and it's down the one end. So I can really bring the table nice and close to me. So, which helps. I love it. I love my new table. My dad wasn't so much in love with putting it together though. He, when the delivery came, I phoned him and said, oh, I've got to deliver, box that needs bringing in. And so he brought in the box for me and my other mail. And I said, oh, needs putting together. Oh, okay. And yeah, and then I helped him put it together. Which is funny because, years gone by, I mean, there's this sort of theory out there that men hate reading instructions. And my dad truly does. And what he used to also hate when he was younger was being read the instructions or following them as someone else read them. But yeah, I said to him, he recently put a cat tower together for me, and he was like, and I could tell he was getting confused because the man is 84 and he is getting forgetful, and it's not Alzheimer's, I don't think, and it's not any form of other dementia. It's just normal aging forgetfulness. And I can say that as a trained speech pathologist, I would recognize, I think, if he had a dementia of some sort. So it's just normal aging forgetfulness. Anyway, and he's sort of like, oh, and he looked at it and I could tell he was like, oh, how am I going to do this, And I said to him, okay, give me the instructions. Right, first let's lay out all the bits, make sure we got all the bits. Oh, that's a good idea. He says, you read the instructions and you tell me what to do. And he was like so relieved. And we did the same thing with my table. I said, okay, let's just lay it all out and we'll do it all. Okay, so we're going to, hang on, purl 2 together. I want to keep working while I talk because otherwise we'll never get anywhere. So we, and he was following my instructions and he put it together. And it only took the cat tower and the table, like the cat tower took a little bit longer because it was bigger, and that was quite a few months ago. But the, and he said to me then, he said, oh, I said, gee, that was really quick. And he goes, oh, he said, it would have been a lot longer if I was doing it on my own. And this is a man who would never have admitted that, 10 years ago. But yeah, so, but I wish I could help my parents more. Instead, my dad's become my carer and my mother's carer. So, yeah, but anyway, such is life, as Ned Kelly famously said. purl 2 together, purl, purl, almost at the end of this row. And when I say row, I'm talking about all of the triangles and all of the rectangles. In Entrelac, a row, and I'll show you in a minute when I've actually completed the row, I'll show you what they mean by row. That wasn't a row, what I just knitted there, those 3 stitches. Not in Entrelac. It's just a portion. And purl 2 together. And that is where we end. Let me just check my notes. Right. Okay, nope, we knit these last two separately. 1, 2, and then we cut our yarn and we add our next color. So we're going back to our purple. Okay, now I'll show you what Entrelac means by a row. Those 3 triangles, the complete 3 triangles, counts as 1 row of Entrelac. Those 2 rectangles and 2 triangles together combine as 1 row of Entrelac. Okay, because these little bits which we do back and forth, although they are technically little rows, they're not actually rows of Entrelac working. So, how's that looking? What do you reckon? How have you gone? Do you look the same? Do you not? We'll find out. Okay, so the next part is, I think I said, going to be easy, because we're not going to have to start off with one of these little triangles. And this row, where we have the triangles, and the next row we're about to do will be the 2 rows you complete over and over and over. And that's why I call them rows as well. They're the 2 portions you complete over and over. And I'll leave that one until I add on my new color first. Until you've got it to the length you desire. Now, as I say, we're doing just a tiny little coaster. So I probably, yeah, there's going to be another part. I've just realized there will have to be another part after this one, because I had to show you the top triangles. Because when we've done the next row, which will basically be just 3, 1, 2, 3 purple rectangles, we then do a green row again of 2 triangles and 2 rectangles. Then we need to finish off our square with 3 more triangles like this, but obviously they'll be like that, and I need to show you how to do those. So yeah, there'll be another video. Sorry about that. Oh, I know but it's lengthy because it's detailed. I hope it's detailed enough for you. And you know, and I know many Entrelac videos, some are detailed, some are less detailed, and I just really wanted to make a detailed one for people who struggle with I need new snippers. Who struggle, you know, with just this, do this and repeat. I mean, I'm going to tell you to, after I've done this next row, I will tell you to repeat the 2 rows to the length you want. But yeah, that's not quite the same as what I'm trying to say. But anyway, excuse me. Oh dear. Okay, excuse me. Right, so we're going to be doing our next row. which is going to be all rectangles, and I like to sort of call them right leaning triangles, because when you're looking at it this way, they'll be leaning towards the right, and we're going to be keeping it on the wrong side facing us, and we're going to start off with a purl 2 together just to finish off that last triangle. And so we're down to 1 stitch. Oh dear, it doesn't want to go in there. I've tied it on too tight or done something. That's my fault. Sozzy. Oh, listen to those Angus cockatoos, I think. They're on the way to the farm to steal the farmer's produce. Okay, we now have to pick up and knit 7 stitches only, because we've already got 1 on our needle. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, we're 1 bump short. So we will, what will I do this time? And we're going to be purling, so yeah, I think are we purling? Picking up and purling? Yeah, we're picking up and purling. So yeah, I'll do this one. Pick it up and purl. Okay, so that's our first one. That's our second one. Now we can use our bumps. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. So we're going to purl up our bumps. It's easier to come into the bumps from the top. So purl. Once again, use stitch markers, use a double pointed needle, use a crochet hook, use whatever you need to use to make this portion easy for you. You know, it doesn't matter what you use, as long as you get the result you like and you're happy, you know. I'm not going to tell you you have to do it this way or that way. I'll tell you what I think is the, we'll see, now this one doesn't want to go through. So in this case, okay, I'm having trouble with that one. So in that case, I will grab a hook, and grab a hook, and I will just really pull it out. Sometimes I just use it to lift. Oh, I might get visited by a pussycat. The pussycat may make an appearance. Put my, oh dear, put my yarn around. Oh, that's wrong, that way. Oh, I'm having all sorts of problems. Oh, put it down. Here we come. We're going to make an appearance walking across the table. Thank you so much. That was my little Maggie. Come on. Yes, got it. Sometimes the hook can just like get in there and loosen, and that's what I needed that to do. Where are we at? 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Oh dear, come on. Once again, because it's a decrease edge, it just makes it that little bit trickier to pick them up. But that's okay. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8. Done. Okay. Once again, it tells us to turn, but we're not going to turn. We are just going to... Oh, hang on. Where do the... Yes, we may turn. No, we're not going to turn. What am I doing? Yep, that's right. We're going to knit backwards. So, from back to front, I'm going to knit at 8 stitches. And she's chewing my book again. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but you can make these triangles and squares as big or as small as you want. I wouldn't go any too much smaller, to be perfectly honest. You could probably go to 5 stitches comfortably. But no, don't lay on my arm. Thank you. I'm trying to knit. She's my very cuddly cat. She's my I need lots of attention cat. I think we've all had one of those if we've had cats. And now she's laying on my arm. You can't stay there. Excuse me while I move my kitten. Oh, come on. Go up behind me. Go up on there. There's a good girl. No, you want to lay there? Lay there and look out the window at all the birds. Here in Australia, well, I say in Australia, here in my area, council area, not even in my whole state, it's just in my council area, because I'm sort of country, semi-country, we got a lot of wildlife. We get a lot of rosellas, we get a lot of cockatoos. I mean, I just heard one before. We do get kookaburras from now and again. So we get a lot of wildlife. We got a lot of possums. I got a possum that visits, sleeps in a tree adjacent to my garage, and I hear him, and he's or her, talk about heavy. I got a tin roof, and he goes clomp, 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 so you can really hear it clomping away. Anyway, so because we've got so much wildlife, and cats are so predominantly killers. I mean, you know, let's face it, they are. You know, they're hunters and killers. It's against the law in our council to allow a cat out. So our cats have to be contained 24/7. Oh, there's a hole in my bucket. Yeah, hence my cats like to look out the window at birds, but they're not allowed to go out and play with the birds. And, you know, if your cat is, you know, one that you... And people do still let their cats roam, even though it's against the law. But if your cat gets trapped by the council and it's chipped, we have, you know, the chip in the back of its neck, you will get, or if you go to the pound to retrieve your cat, you will get a $200 fine, plus you will be fined for each and every day that they have to keep your cat. You know, they have a fee that they charge per day for feeding and keeping your cat, and you have to pay that on top of it. So if your cat's missing a month, and if the charge is $7 a month, you know, the fine can be pretty hefty to get your cat back. And I'm assuming some people probably don't bother trying to get their cat back. But I digress, as I am wont to do. But yeah, so they like to look out the window is the short version of that story. Sorry, I'm sorry. These videos would be so much shorter if I just shut up. Okay. So we purl to the end. And when we, to the second line, or to the last stitch, we purl to the end. Now, we're going to join this one and this one. And we're going to do that because we're on the wrong side by purling 2 together through the front loops. We're not doing the slip, slip, knit. We're doing a purl through the front loops. Purl 2 together. And then we knit back. And if I find that I've made this video too long, I will split it. But I do want to try and keep it all in one piece if I can. And there's nothing stopping you from fast forwarding. You know, if you sort of have already grasped how to do this rectangle, and you think you can just fast forward to the, you know, the next one to make sure that you know how to pick up and all the rest of it again, do that. I'm not going to be offended. 2, 4, 6, 8. You will constantly have 8 stitches at this stage because there is no shaping here for the end. This is the second row of the Entrelac repeat. 2 stitches, purl the 2 together to join those 2 triangles, and knit backwards. You can do Entrelac in garter stitch. The row counts from memory are fairly different, just because of the nature of the garter stitch being shorter. You need more rows to get the shape. But yeah, you can put, we've only got 8 stitches, you could go to 20, you could go to 30, you could go to 50. You know, if you wanted to make a really big blanket, but you didn't want to be making really tiny little rectangles and whatnot. And see how that's joining? Joining the next one. So we're keeping a straight edge. Yep. You know, it doesn't really matter. And I think, as I said in the first video, you can do cables, you can do lace work, you can do color work, you can do beads, you can really put anything on these. In fact, I think if you do you can do a like a shawl, you know, the beadwork, a lace one with beadwork would look really, really nice. So there's lots you can do with Entrelac. I've seen people, you know, patterns for knitting socks with Entrelac. Not sure if I'd be very game to do that. I'd try it. I don't know how successful I would be, though, because I'm not really knit 2 together, purl 2 together, and knit back, because I'm not very successful with my socks. I've told myself, if I really want to finish a pair of socks, what I probably need to do is make a video. Then I'll have to finish them. Yeah, it's a thought. It would work. But there's a fantastic guy. His real name is Norman, but he calls himself Thimble Needles? Thimble Needle. It is Thimble Needles, I think. On YouTube. And I think he's a Dutch fellow. Oh, he is just such a fantastic knitter. And he has tips that really are game changer. So if you're a knitter and watching this, go and check him out. If I remember to put him in the description box, I will. The tricks and tips he has are amazing. Knit backwards. When you have a really, really long sleep, I don't know about you, but I often wake up initially feeling even more tired, but then you sort of get to this sort of, I don't know, you feel dazed or drugged, you know, because it's almost like your body's still trying to catch up, or your brain's trying to catch up with your body. It's like, yeah, I was asleep for so long, but now you're doing all this knitting and stuff. Purl those two together. I'm feeling a little bit like that, but it's not an uncomfortable feeling. It's just a nice sort of calm feeling, I guess. And I've got 2 silly videos coming up. Making on how to cast on if you're a crocheter, and how to chain or chain on if you're a knitter. Here we go. So let's see if I can just move this camera down. Okay, yeah, I thought as much. I'm almost at an hour, so I'm going to stop it very shortly. I'm just going to finish this rectangle and finish it, because I think an hour is probably long enough. Knit 2 together. The next one might be a bit shorter. Like I say, I was going to do all these parts and have them sort of spread out over the next few Thursdays, but the project is so small. I really don't want to make people wait for 3 weeks to finish a coaster. So I will release all parts at once, and that way you can go at your own pace. You know, you can do all of the parts at once, or, you know, every day, one a day, or you can stick to one a week. You know, it really doesn't matter. Purl those 2 together, and this is our last time going back. Knitting in reverse for this section. Oh dear, I've gotten my tensions tightened up. I can see it and I can feel it, which is unusual because I'm one normally who keeps tension fairly stable. I'm not one who varies tension a lot. You know, I can sort of pick up a garment or whatever after several months. Well, not that I keep them for that long these days, but years ago, and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't alter at all. Okay, and our last row for this video is almost purled 2 together then. Okay. Purl all the way down. Last 2 stitches, purl and purl them 2 together. And then, of course, the next section will be pick up 8 again. I'll just show you on the front how we are looking. You can see why I call it these left and right leaning rectangles. This is our piece so far. I will come back and finish off this and this. Then I will just show you this again. Then I might skip these two because I think you're going to know how to do those and go straight to this. We'll see. We'll see what I think you should do. Or what you think, or you tell me what you think I should do to slow it down or speed it up or whatever. But there we go. That's where we're going to leave it. Thank you for joining me on this little Entrelac journey. I do hope you've been enjoying it. Take care, everybody, and bye for now.